What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Sleuth Intuition channel. I'm your host, Patrick Vallejos. Today, we will be talking about the Abby and Libby case. And you guys are welcome and encouraged to ask me anything, really. Anything at all. So, I think when addressing the craziness that's surrounding the case, the way I look at it is there is a story that fits all the theories, right? Um, you could have a gang, a group, a crew, a club, um, a hateful club, and they could be initiating folks, like a gang initiation. I mean, that stuff does happen. You know, it may not be something that happens often, statistically speaking, even when it comes to ritual killings. That's not something that always happens, but it's not something that is common, but it does happen. So when I say there could be a little bit of truth to all of it, what I mean is look at all of the players. You got Keegan Klein, Richard Allen. Now you have this group of folks, the Odinists, the Odinites, whatever you want to call them, whatever they're referred to in the defense memo. So you have this whole group of folks, maybe even some that aren't being mentioned. Maybe they're all working together in some way or the other. You have Keegan Klein. He's the catfisher. So maybe he was used to pick the victim and lure them to a location, destination. You have Richard Allen, who could potentially be a maybe a recruit, right? So replace, let's say, an Elvis Fields with a Richard Allen, or shit, throw them both in there. So you got Keegan Klein using Anthony shots to bring them a victim, right? They gave him money, like, thank you for finding us a victim, and getting this victim to from point A to point B. So you do have a story there where all the theories fit. Does that mean that we're going to go ham and start pushing that narrative? No, because there's no proof. Well, not even proof. There's no real actual evidence that these Odinists or these practicing, I don't, what do you call them, pagans, were even at the trails that day. That doesn't mean they weren't there. And by now, we've all seen the stick formation and the placement at the crime scene. Was it ritual? Could have been. I don't know. I'm not an expert on that. But from what I see, no. And from the tests that we've ran, all the experts that we speak to, um, even some of the folks that are mentioned in that leaked memo, they say, hey, like, that's not what I said. So I'm telling you, every piece of information that we could verify in the memo is like either skewed or just a lie. So, I mean, we're like 10 for 10 right now. There hasn't been one exception. So today, what we're going to do is I want the chat to help me. Everything is going to be fact based today. Right? We're going to spend the first half hour getting everything out of our system. We can speculate. I want to talk about Abby and Libby. I want to tell their story. And then I want to talk about this philosophy, I guess. A little bit of truth to all of the theories, combined. But it is good to see everybody. Sensei, Solar Chef, Lisa, Metal Mama, Jill Moser, Jennifer, good to see you. Yeah, and if you guys got a question for me directly, just put question and then at me. Keith says Richard Allen is the bridge guy. Yeah, he definitely is the bridge guy. I'm pretty sure of it. Pretty sure of it. But I mean, you can't be certain. The only thing that is more compelling about Richard Allen's situation is that we can prove that he was at the trails that day. You know, that's huge. You're going to have witnesses say, they're going to ask him, hey, the guy that you saw there, you know, do you see him in this courtroom? They're going to be like, well, yeah, that's him right there for sure. That's going to compel a jury. Jennifer says, that speculation, not fact. What do you mean? Do you want to put the other part in the comment? At least that way we know a little bit what you're talking about. And I also said, if you were listening, which you probably weren't, we were going to spend the first half hour getting it out of our system, right? People just hear what they want to hear. Hey, Nancy, Sleuth, I still wonder what, if anything, KK took to Vegas with him after the event. Do we know if law enforcement is scouring the dark web on a regular basis for evidence? I'm pretty sure they found a whole lot with Keegan Klein. A whole lot. A whole lot that we may never know. There's probably a lot of pending cases. And I have a feeling Richard Allen is mixed in with all that somehow. Or somebody that helped him, right? Or somebody that he helped. Ooh, we got a super chat, Miss Dog Lover. Thank you so much. Today's live stream is sponsored by Miss Dog Lover. She says, hey, Sleuth, in no way related, but here in London, things are getting dangerous with knifings right on my doorstep. The latest yesterday on train in broad daylight. I used to love this city, but now I'm scared. Well, if I were you, I would go get a gun. I know they're illegal, and I know you'll probably get in trouble once you shoot the son of a gun that's trying to stab you. Um, at least you'll be alive. So, the criminals aren't going to follow the law. Guns are illegal. Last time I checked, homicide was illegal. People don't seem to be following that law, even though there's a death penalty for it. So protect yourself, protect your family, even if your government's not going to do it for you or give you the opportunity to do it for yourself. Next, they're going to ban all knives, right? You're going to be cooking dinner like, oh, what am I going to use? Hey, are those plastic utensils regulation? Right? And then people are going to start running over people, throwing Molotovs. They'll outlaw that. And the whole time, the only people who are following those, obeying those laws are the law-abiding citizens. They're like, oh, no guns? Oh, this is great. This is going to be great, guys. All the guns are outlawed. You know, isn't that sounds wonderful? Can you believe it? Let's go on a stroll. Remember that bad neighborhood that we were always afraid of? Well, guns have been banned. Let's go there. Let's go for a walk and let's talk to people. You think the criminals that were trying to rob you and harass you before got rid of their guns too? Yeesh. Interesting. Thanks again, Miss Doglover. Yeah, that is super scary. I mean, I don't know what to do about that. Knives are I'm afraid of knives. Doesn't take much. Oh, that he's bridge guy? I don't remember saying that he was the bridge guy. I was actually getting ready to say if they can prove like a Messer, Johnny Messer was there, he kind of fits the description too. What's up, Hiawatha? I'm still not convinced of Allen's guilt or innocence. Yeah, me neither. But I'm fairly certain he is the bridge guy. I'm looking forward to this live. And that's only because I know a whole lot about this case and I've spent a lot of time with the video, but it's still not, it's not absolute. And I'm sure there's a whole lot of confirmation bias wrapped around all of that. But when it comes to the overall craziness of this, I think it all boils down to ego. Nobody wants to accept the fact that they've spent so much time looking at this case and trying to figure it out. All these problem solvers, all these, oh, my IQ is so high. I got this. Let me put down my Dungeon and Dragons. I'm going to take care of this. Right. So there's a whole lot of that going on. And when you have an ego like that getting in the way, you just can't accept the fact that you overlooked a little CVS worker. You personally can't accept that. And that's where the ego comes in. It's right in front of you, it's blocking your vision. You just cannot accept it. There's no way I overlooked Richard Allen. And that's where the confirmation bias begins. It's no way that it's him because I didn't see it. I didn't even have a clue. I'm in every Facebook group. I'm in every Discord. Oh, another super chat. Miss Dog Lover, thank you. Honestly, Sleuth, Google it. South London train caught on camera. The knife was massive. I bet on these trains. Yeah, I wouldn't go out there. I would never live in a country that it didn't have a First Amendment. That tells you right there, you are not a free person. Your government just told you what you can and cannot do. And of course, there's limits. Good to see you, haters. Audrey, good to see you. You get on those trains. Yeah. I don't know. If I were you, I would make a zip gun. Simple. Oh, that's a nice knife. Check this out. Pop. And then when cops try to bust you, be like, I don't have nothing. I just have a stick with a little weird wire on the end. Nothing to see here. They used to do that in back in the day. Look it up. It's called a zip gun. If you know me, says Adrenochrome. Better get it out of your system. See, adrenochrome is another interesting conspiracy theory. Very interesting. But once again, is there any evidence that that happened? No, not at all. I mean, the only reason we're talking about the Odinism angle is because of what was left at the crime scene, and that's still, I think, up for debate. So while you guys go on a fantastic conspiracy voyage, I'm still stuck there, you know, wondering what it really is. What am I looking at? But so many people are like, I know what it is. I've looked at it for 2 seconds. It's a ritual killing. Brat holder. Come with me. I'll take you down the yellow brick road. My ego fueled trip to Oz. Blinded by the light. Jody Lynn. Libby talking about going to see law enforcement about something. I can't forget about it. What was going on with all that? Thanks. I don't know if that's fact. I haven't been able to prove it. I always thought that that rumor started from a clip from a video that Abby and Libby made, and they had posted it. It may have been a TikTok or something like that. But they crossed their fingers. But they were singing a song. They said one of the lyrics was "We're tight like Gina and Pam" from the show Martin. One of my favorites, by the way. Martin, what's up? So they crossed their fingers. Well, before the video was released, there was just a clip of that. And somebody posted it on a Facebook group saying it looks like they had a secret. So it went from they had a secret to they were going to police. You know, things kind of evolve. But I could be wrong. That is something that I haven't been able to verify. But that's always what I suspected happened. What's up, Audrey? Your opinion. Do you think Richard Allen, daughter or son in law, will testify? No, I don't. But if you want to speculate, they could be a witness, but I doubt it. Um, I think the same reasons why these people let their ego get in the way is the same, something similar to why the family will never really acknowledge it until he does officially. You know, when Richard Allen sits down and they got a videotape confession of him saying, "Well, this is what I did, this is why I did it, and this is how it went down." Then the family will finally be like, "Oh my gosh." And then it'll begin to sink in. It'll still take some time, but that's I think when it'll start to register. But I don't think anybody knew. I don't think anybody had a clue. And that's why all these people are freaking out because they've been looking in all the wrong places, right? I've been looking at this case since late 2017, you know. I went out on the deep end. I've met some great contacts in law enforcement, you know. Worked with some people who were very close to the Delphi investigation with some folks that I was talking to personally. So I've been through it with this case. What's up, Perry Winkle? Dank Buds, fire in the bowl. A lot of smoke screens in this case, it seems like. Yeah, a lot of smoke and mirrors. But I mean, what do you expect? I mean, I'm really fascinated by defense attorneys. It's very fascinating by the whole human aspect behind it all. It seems like an endless compromise between achieving your goals and compromising your morality. Hey, Julia. If Odinism plays a part in this, I will be shocked, but not surprised. Almost nothing about this case would surprise me at this point. Nothing is off the table. Exactly. Um, remember a lot of the weirdness that was going on between Nick, Diener, like all that stuff's very suspicious. But when you live in a small town like that, it doesn't matter what the reason is, right? If you're going to recuse yourself, it's probably it has to be for a good reason. So get the fuck out of there. You know, whether you know somebody or you know somebody that knows somebody, or you might be related in some way, doesn't mean that it's going to compromise the case. But for whatever reason, you're not comfortable with it. Yeah, get out of there. Recused doesn't mean they're trying to set up Richard Allen to take the fall for some ritual killing. But for all we know, Richard Allen could come forward and say, "Look, it was a ritual killing. I was getting initiated." And for all we know, even Flora, right? It kind of has the telltale signs of an initiation. Like, "Oh, you wanna join this group? Well, you gotta show us, you're a badass." And it doesn't even have to be the Vinlanders or that. It could just be something like that. So, if you're trying to tie both crimes in together, which I think is ridiculous. I mean, the only reason we're talking about Patrick Westfall is because he lived in Flora and Delphi. If that wasn't the case with him, we would never mention him. But he fits into that story so well, and it's such cheese for the lab rats. These experimental bug-eyed mice that run around YouTube. They just eat it up. And I guess it's fair to say that we pick up a lot of crumbs from the prosecution, but hell yeah. I was watching Mel earlier and she said it fucking perfect. Like, hell yeah, I'm biased. I was like, yeah, hell yeah. It was like refreshing to hear that. Like, yeah, I am biased. Because the prosecution's held to a higher standard. So shout out to Cold Truth. Hiawatha. Yeah, I spoke with Leggett. I spoke with him on regards to JP. Yeah, that was a whole ordeal, guys. You had Carroll County sheriffs. You had Indiana State Police. You had a new interview, um, um, a new polygraph. Some new evidence was taken in. Nobody knows about that. So that was all very strange. The way that we were able to put JP at the crime scene doesn't mean he's guilty or involved or anything, but that just shows that we were investigating. We were able to do some things that nobody was able to get done. And then once police had it in their hands, we backed off. So yeah, maybe he's involved. Unfortunately, people are leaking more and more information about the crime scenes, and some of those details kind of fit him back into some things. And that's why I hate to see people leaking the crime scene photos and the details, because I would have never even been looking back at somebody like JP. But knowing what I know about him, and now those specific details that I heard about the crime scene, it ties him right back in. Especially his photograph um, from around that time of a big log with blood all over it, and it was in the water, and it looked like it was um, right there at the crime scene. So that was very interesting, and I don't know how that all ties in. He was there at the trails from 3:30 to 4. That's the exact time we have Muddy and Bloody Guy. Good to see you, Boston. He worked with Brad Weber. I mean, there's a whole new conspiracy with him there. But I'm telling you, it's possible that it's all true. Some weird um statistical one-off, an anomaly, a statistical anomaly. Yep, phobe. That's the whole reason America was formed, to escape the tyranny. Yeah, and they're trying to bring it right back. But it ain't gonna happen. United States of America is more important to the world than we will ever know. The world knows it, but we don't. And that's good, I think. They should try to learn from that. Jill says, been into this case since day one. Have had many poise and did a lot of deep dives. Crazy how effed up it's all become. I'm really worried that all these nutters are compromising the case. Yeah, recently they did a lot of compromising. And I'm not going to repeat it because I would just be feeding into that. Folks who may have missed that. But the details, there's been details in there, and I've spoken to two different homicide CSI guys, and they both told me information not to repeat. And it was something that was flashed on two separate channels. I was told it's extremely important that you do not repeat this information. And they explained to me why. And then there it was on the screen. So you want to talk about compromising? If there's anybody else involved in this crime, you guys just fucked that up. So I really hope that there's more, and it could be the reason they're not releasing the full video. I'm hoping there's something on there, like maybe the girls had already swapped hoodies or something like that. Something only the killer would know, that they're not going to release on that they didn't want released to the public on that film. But it's my hunch that it was an extremely violent attack. Dank says, will we ever get all of the truth in this case? I think it is possible. You know, right now there's two energies that are pulling at the seams, or your heartstrings, I guess. You have this really dark, chaotic energy that wishes to bring anarchy to the whole process. You know, everybody's bad. It's all corrupt. There's no justice anyway. They've already given up on life. So now they're just doing their part to feed into that mega mind, right? That united consciousness of dark energy. They're on that ride. They're surfing it. And they love it because there's camaraderie there. That's why you find a lot of Sleuth crew rejects there, right? Because they're giving back their voice. Misery needs company. Yep, Phobe. Or Phoebe. Almost called you phobic. Oh, sorry. Why would Richard Allen want to drain their blood? What do you think he did that for? What do you mean? What are you talking about? When was their blood drained? Other than having a major artery attacked with a sharp knife? Oh, are you referring to the defense memo? Oh, you're still see, that's just more cheese. It's not fact yet. It hasn't turned into a cracker yet, just cheese. Still kind of soft and mushy and can melt when it's hot. Hiawatha, the JP fiasco. That was very crazy. Maybe it's not over. Molly says that JP interview was really interesting. I'm glad law enforcement looked at him very carefully. He has some issues for sure. You guys, I have so much information that would convince you that that man is guilty, but it's all just circumstantial, pancake, no syrup, little bit of butter stuff. But just because something makes a great story doesn't mean that it's true. We need factual information. Now, JP has something that the Odinism theory doesn't have, and it's proof that he was at the trail. So him and Richard Allen have that in common. Also, a history of mental health issues and possibly drug abuse. What's up, Todd? Yeah, he definitely threw up some red flags. I'm glad that law enforcement looked at him. If half of what Ruckus Rock says has any validity, the crime was extremely complex and DNA from an unknown male has been found. No wonder the defense claims Richard Allen is innocent, in my opinion. Well, yeah, Anne. I mean, you make some good points, but you notice that the defense is not leaning on that. All the things that you think, that make sense to you, they have a reason for not talking about it. They did mention that in the Franks memo about somebody else's DNA, but you notice it wasn't on the front page, and we haven't heard about it since. So, and that's one of the first things I always said. Why aren't we hearing about the DNA? What the hell? If it's not his DNA, it's either it's not him or others are involved. And then that's when your mind starts thinking that it is a conspiracy because you're just using your common sense, right? You're using your logic. Your logic says, well, obviously Nick McClellan had something to do with that. So they try to say, well, that's why Nick McClellan is saying there's other people involved because he needs to get Richard Allen for kidnapping. That means they got his guy, but they really don't have the killer. That's why they're doing all this weird shit with the charges and this and that. But that's really not what's going on. They're just getting everything right. Because if you don't have the right charges, how are you going to make them stick in court? It's kind of like when you try to get somebody for first degree murder and you can't convict them, but you could have possibly convicted them for manslaughter or something, second degree murder. Dank Bud says, still hard for me to believe that it was done with just one person. The only way for me it makes sense is if one of the girls was incapacitated quickly, like down the hill, and then boom. Now, right down there by the creek, this person we were mentioning had a photograph of a large stick and it had blood on it. Now, if you have two girls going down the hill and another at gunpoint and another man hiding behind a tree. And as soon as they're in range or in distance, jumps out and bang. Julia says if Abby was wearing two bras prior, both her own intentionally, which was my initial thought, then I don't think she was undressed. I don't see why the killer would take time to fully redress her. Yeah, that's a tough one. These are the questions that I wish we did have a good panel of experts on to kind of help us out because we could be missing something. We got to try to keep it simple. And that's why I say that it's possible that they already switched hoodies or hoodies with the jacket. So we have one photo at 2:05 and we don't even know when the photo was taken. We just know that's when it was sent out on Snapchat. So it could have been taken at 2, it could have been taken at 2:03, could have been taken, at 1:55 for all we know, and then uploaded after adding some filters or whatever. But either way, 2:05, and then after that, they switch jackets. And then we see that elbow kinda sticking out of that one photo. We always assume, well, that's Libby's elbow, or excuse me, Abby's elbow, because she had on the gray hoodie or the gray jacket. Well, what if they had switched? And really, you had Abby holding the phone. I mean, they did find it under her, right? Yeah, I think he's in jail right now. He had a protective order put against him from his wife, and he violated that order. Yeah, Molly. Law enforcement definitely were interested in him. And what's strange about him is that he actually tipped in his father-in-law. And his father-in-law worked at Packers. Same age as Richard Allen. Fits the description of the bridge guy. A little bit heavier, but even wears those little hats. I don't know, what is it, like a paperboy hat? But I'm sure that was a little bit of mental health mixed in with that shitty sketch they had. I felt bad watching, Mike, Patty, and Becky and all them, and whoever invested in putting up those billboards. They put in countless hours putting up those flyers, and then 2019, it's like, boom, all that for nothing. But really, it wasn't. I feel like there's like a strategy to that, almost like an attempt to educate people. I know most believe it was just a Hail Mary, and it could have, been more successful, but I think there was a purpose to that. I think there was a purpose to why Doug Carter was saying, "We may have interviewed you." And what do you guys think about the theory that Keegan Klein didn't know Richard Allen, and Richard Allen wasn't into all the CSAM stuff? But what if during Keegan Klein, or let's call him Anthony Schatz at the time, right? What if during his communications with Libby, Libby said something about Richard Allen? For example, Keegan Klein says, "Are you cool with dating a 19-year-old?" She says, "Well, my best friend Abby is dating an older guy. His name's Rick or Ricky." And eventually Keegan Klein comes and tells him the truth, right? Or tells law enforcement the truth. Like, yeah, I did talk to her. There's a phone that you guys don't know about. And Libby was telling me about some inappropriate relationship that Abby was having with an older man and nobody knows. And he bought her a burner phone. But I can't remember his name. I can't remember she told me his name, but I can't remember. Well, where did this happen? Well, it happened on a phone, but I threw it in the Wabash River. So they find the device. They do they pull the off of it, pull the forensics, the data. And that's when they find the lost tip narrative. And maybe it was just the name Rick. Some guy named Ricky. Like type in Ricky. And then up pops Rick Allen Whiteman. But Whiteman is the name of his street that he lived on. So what if it was something like that? Not a direct connection, but just Keegan Klein having like intimate knowledge and a way to prove it. Julie says, "In putting clothes on a deceased body potentially damp takes work and time. After I get out of the shower and try to put on jeans, yeah, you have to dry off. Maybe that's why Libby's clothing was in the water. Maybe he was using it to dry her off. Yeah, and that's very possible too. She could have been unconscious, came to, realized she didn't have any clothing or just partial clothing, saw a pile of clothes there, put whatever she could on, and then she hears like some commotion up over the embankment, only to come up on this horrific scene. Anna, you think that's something that she could have just done normally, like an everyday thing? She wasn't trying to impress anybody. What's up, Cindy? What I pieced together from what Ruckus Rock says, the theories, the motive had to do with photography in a shack near the south end of the bridge, in my opinion. My only question about that is where'd you hear it? Where does that piece of information come from? Miss Doglover, Sleuth, do you think it was Richard Allen? I do believe he's the guy on the bridge. And I'm definitely willing to hear the prosecution. I want to hear him out. If he was there on the trails and he looks like the bridge guy and he matches the witness descriptions and his bullet was found over there, yeah, I'm going to hear him out. That's a whole lot of Richard Allen at the trails and near the crime scene. They need to clear that up before they let him out. Doesn't seem like the defense wants to give them the opportunity to do that. Molly says circumstantial evidence has convicted many. Yes, it has. Many people. Too many things add up. The jury convicts. Yeah, that's true. I never understand why people say circumstantial evidence cases are weak cases, often very strong. Yeah, but hearsay and circumstantial evidence are two different things. Like to me, Richard Allen being at the trails at the same time of the murders and matching the description, to me, that's circumstantial. So yeah, that's definitely circumstantial evidence. Now saying, "Oh well, the crime scene is definitely an Odinist ritual, and it's these guys who are connected to the victims." Obviously, right? Now that's hearsay. Do you think that the state's going to let the defense just say that if it's not true and not reject that immediately? Well, they're not going to have to because I don't believe they're ever going to court. They're buying their time and trying to find some kind of a technicality. Is there 2 GAPs? I think you're thinking of the DPs. We got the DPs and the JPs. Circumstantial speculation, not fact. And you want to call me a cheese gatherer? Okay, buddy. Circumstantial speculation. I don't remember calling you a cheese gatherer, but it looks like you put that shoe on. That's where they get that old saying, "If the shoe fits, wear it. If it doesn't, don't wear it." I'm not wearing that shoe. That shit smells like cheese. Smells like Parmesan stinky feet cheese. What's up, Olivia 2? She Warrior. Good to see you. Dead Sea Steve. For the person who asked why he drained the blood, here's your answer. What's that, adrenochrome? Yeah, he was in the military. Hey, what's up, Squeaky Will? Hey, Sleuth, what do you think about these people writing complaint letters to Judge Goal as if she's their own personal pen pal? Do you think it will influence her at all? Yeah, I think it will. It's kind of her job to let it influence her in some kind of way. At least consider it. But I don't think the people who are writing these letters give a shit. They just love it when you guys talk about it. We know the murder sheet made that popular. Yeah, I think it would be very hard. You know, you'd be constantly dealing with the weight and gravity. Hey, True Crime. Good to see you. I think Richard Allen made them redress and they just grab whatever clothes they could and dress quickly out of fear. Yeah, that Dana, you're right. That is probably what most likely happened. And I think that's what I think Richard Allen did give somewhat of a description about what happened and why he did it to his medical staff, and that's what they're fighting over right now. They're fighting over keeping that information because it was provided. The details of it all were provided to the medical staff. So, from my understanding, he confessed to his wife and his mother multiple times. Like, I did it, I did it. And for his protection, they hung up. Like, I'm not, I'm going to end this call for your protection. And then I guess his health started deteriorating at that point. I don't know, maybe he tried to kill himself. Who knows? But the way I see it is his attorneys showed up shortly after his confession, and they told him to act certain ways, right? Like, "Hey, look, we don't want you to confess. We can fight this for you. Like, we can get you off of this, man. We think we can get you off." But that was them making the decision to not only use Richard Allen and his family, but also the people of Indiana. They could have easily have said, "Okay, well, if you're guilty, I mean, we have options. We can help you." That's not what they said. They said, "Nope, we're not going that route. You're sick. Play sick." He starts eating paper. They start sending out photos of him looking like shit. He's no longer eating. And then during this whole process, he's still confessing to the medical folks. And from my understanding, he had admitted to it being a sexually motivated crime. So when that comes out, everybody's going to be shocked. He's admitted to this, guys. He's admitted to it. I don't believe him. I don't believe it when he says it was sexually motivated. I think maybe there was an element as far as a inappropriate relationship, and I think with maybe another guy being involved. This Logan character, yeah, Valentine's Day around the corner. I think something bad happened, and there couldn't be any witnesses to see it or to tell what had happened. And that's pretty much what he confessed to. Not the relationship part. That's just how what I think. Those are my instincts telling me that. Now, whether that's between Richard Allen and Abby or Libby, or the other assailant, possibly, or maybe somebody that hired Richard Allen. And we hear from the defense team things like this Odinism group. They're trying to hire people, or they're trying to hire folks to find targets and things like that. That could be where Keegan Klein comes in, right? We need a target. Well, we know you're a catfisher. We know you're a dirty catfisher. Can you get us a victim? Maybe they needed two victims. Maybe they already had their victims and they needed help luring them. Jennifer says, "Have you ever considered the down the hill means down the hill to the right and not down the hill to the left?" Yeah, we've talked about that. But once again, they have it on video. So whichever direction they went, law enforcement knows. Anna says, "I think the initial action of the crime was to demand the girls to undress. At some point, they knew the danger, resisted, and ran." Yeah, that's most likely what happened. And a single assailant. And he may have just used the water to get rid of his DNA. So, yeah, they have DNA and they have Richard Allen's DNA, but only a certain amount of markers. Like, they know that they can't eliminate Richard Allen from being the killer. They can eliminate most of the population, right? But they can't, even though they can't prove that this DNA belongs to him, he's on a very, very short list of people who cannot be eliminated, which also is a form of circumstantial evidence and is going to be extremely compelling. And that might be the reason that we're having all these issues with the DNA. It's like, yes, we have DNA. Is it the killer's DNA? We don't know. But we know that it could be Richard Allen's DNA. I know for a fact it's not yours. It's not his. It's not his. But after testing his DNA, it's definitely either him or somebody that's related to him. Jennifer says, "Don't you ever wonder why the property on the other side of the bridge is never talked about or wasn't searched or anything like that?" What property? The Weber property? The Weber property was their first. Brad Weber was their first suspect. He was vetted and is probably still on their list. And that place was searched immediately. They didn't need a search warrant to search that place. They were given permission by the homeowner immediately. By the time the person who was staying at the home and watching the home got home from work, they were already tearing the place apart. They had everything in the garage taken out. And he's like, "What the hell are you guys doing?" They took him in for questioning right then and there. They took all his jackets, they took all his clothes, they took all his hats and hoodies and all that stuff, beanies. So what do you mean they didn't search it? Todd said they said the bridge guy was walking behind Abby, and you can see the gray hoodie jacket in the BG video. So it's Abby. Yep, 100% Todd. Good call on that one. Yeah, and I was just throwing out a hypothetical. But yeah, you're 100%. We can go ahead and throw that one out. Unless it was after that point. But yeah, you're 100% right. That is a great fact. And that is how it's done, folks. 13-year-old me, I had a very similar body type, Abby, age, and was insecure about being so slender. It's a thing for sure. Yeah, I mean, insecurities are huge at that age, but I just don't know if that's what was going on, but it could be a motivating factor in why she was doubled up. Whether, but then again, we don't know. That could be one of the things that only the killer would know. Why was she wearing both those? Oh, well, I brought it as a gift, or um, they might be able to provide an explanation that we didn't even consider. That's why it's important not to show those crime scene photos. Dead Sea Steve, adrenochrome is a chemical released into your blood before death during a fearful state, and it can be made into a drug, from my understanding. Yes, I'm fully aware of what adrenochrome is and the conspiracy behind it. Phoebe Beach, did KK really give Libby money? Not sure. The transcripts say, and we have the money going to the girls. The Anthony Shots money going to Libby, I think is the exact quote. But people would try to explain that away like, oh, well, he was sending photos of money. We have the money going to her. That doesn't make any sense. So yeah, maybe there was an account. There's talk of burner phones. And I know that Anna was very strict with Abby. So if she was having an inappropriate relationship, maybe somebody left a phone for her. We know they were at the trails all the time. Hey, when you come back here, I'm going to leave a phone for you on the other side of the bridge. They go get the phone, and then maybe they were coming back. Well, meet me where I left you the phone. And then they meet him, and it's a trap. What's up, Tabitha? Just a thought. Libby gave her phone to a buy because she didn't have pockets, whereas Abby had jeans on, which had pockets. That's a good thought, but I think we debunked that one. I wouldn't say we. I would say Todd debunked that. Good catch on that. We always want to poke holes, guys. If you don't do it, they will. If you don't do it yourself, somebody else will. Thanks, Dana. Um, there was no evidence of it, but there was reference to the money account. Yep. So I don't know. I don't know a whole lot about that conversation. There's talk about the ski mask incident right before the day before they went to Vegas. So I mean, there's a whole lot there. I mean, we could spend I could probably contribute all of my channel time to convincing you guys that Keegan Klein is the killer. You know, if I was just doing it for the getting off on the manipulation of it all, or JP, or I don't know. There's a lot of interesting stories out there, but the fact of the matter is, you got to put these suspects at the trails that day. And the one thing that the defense has failed to do is remove Richard Allen from these theories. Yeah, they really don't look like it. But the one thing, let me go back here to Phoebe Beach. Don't think the girls were dolled up to meet a male model or to model that day. I don't think so. I don't think so. Unless somebody promised them a wardrobe. Like, oh, don't dress up, we'll take care of you. Or they were just told, I don't know. I just have a weird feeling that the south end of that bridge was like a place where Richard Allen would leave items. And that's totally just speculation, ridiculous talk, but I don't know. I just don't. There was a reason that Abby was crossing that bridge. She didn't want to, and I think that's why they were on that bridge so long. And I think that's maybe another reason that a lone wolf might have been triggered by it, like a spider. You go over there and you kind of, if you've ever taken a stick and kind of you shake the web a little bit, you'll get the spider all riled up because he thinks he has a little critter caught in the web. So maybe this predator, Richard Allen, sees that. Sees this girl spending a whole lot of time on this bridge, and there's no way she's going to run away because now she has to come back. So now she's trapped. And if Richard Allen frequents those trails, he knows he can just run across that thing. Maybe he does it for fun. That's something I would do. If I love to hike. And if I was constantly hiking through there, eventually I would, try to see how fast I could cross it. Maybe he was good at that. And he was saying, well, as soon as they get towards that end, I'm just going to book it. Maybe not even thinking of the consequences. I'm going to book it. I'm going to do what I need to do, and I'm going to jet out. But when he goes to do it, there's a fight. They rip off his face covering. They can see him. And then he panics. Tabitha, that's going to be the most likely scenario. There's no draining the blood. There's none of this. And I know it's hard to accept because it's hard for me. It's hard for me to think that this poor guy, this poor little guy, he just seems miserable. I wouldn't even say miserable. He just seems like a regular average person. it's just hard to accept that. It's a hard pill to swallow, especially for somebody who's been looking in this case, looking at everybody, looking at everything. Well, while you were looking, guess who was ducking? Richard Allen. Every time a camera turned, guess who turned? Right with it. Richard Allen. Guess who got fattened up? Richard Allen. Guess who grew a real fluffy beard and got chubby cheeks? Richard Allen. So while you're in, the reason he did those things is because we were out there looking so hard. No Facebook, no nothing, no social media, not even a quick little Facebook with one photo on it saying, hey, I like to shoot pool, and then never touched it again. Nothing. None of that. Yep, there's another good point. So not only can we put Richard Allen on the bridge that day or on the trails that day, we can put him on the bridge. So, I mean, if you can put one of these other folks that have been mentioned by the defense on the bridge or even near the trails that day, you're definitely going to have my attention. But that hasn't happened yet. All right, guys, it's going to be our 5-minute warning. Catch up on the chat, and then I got to get out of here. Olivia says girls had a prearranged meeting, in my opinion. I think that that's possible. I think that Richard Allen, if he's the bridge guy, which I think he is, he was wearing a disguise. So if Abby and Libby did know him, they wouldn't recognize this guy wearing, I don't know, looked like he had on like 3 jackets. A hoodie, a jacket, and then his blue jacket. Yeah, and Julia, you can't do both, right? You can't get dolled up and then convince your parents that you're going just on a hike. Because I don't know about you, the first thing I'm going to say is, why are you all dolled up? I'm going to become extremely suspicious. So you can't have both, right? He is the weasel caught. He needs to roll on the others, if any. Just my opinion. Yeah, and that's really a good way to simplify it, Mike. You know, he was so caught up in the social media stuff. We're seeing that projected to the public through his defense. Remember, they're there to defend him. They're going to do what he wants to do. They may have told him to confess, and he decided, well, I don't want to. This is why. And then he made up the story. Like, well, the reason I confessed is because the Odinite guards. Maybe that's when he decided, hey, I got a whole lot off my chest. Now I have a little bit of room to fight. Let me give some pushback. And that ego could be the same ego that, made him a killer. The same ego that's telling him that he's going to get away with this. Could have been the same voice telling him to commit the murder. Yeah, Mevin, that's a good point. And there's a whole lot that we don't know. I say we know 20%, possibly, but I think that's a stretch even. Because the only one that's a real expert is the killer. He's the only one that has all of the answers. He is the crime scene expert. So if anybody's going to formulate a theory, especially one after 6 years of working out all the details, the person who's going to come up with the best theory is going to be the crime scene expert, the person who created the crime scene, and most likely has been reliving it through his trophies, maybe even through some kind of memorabilia, photographs or something. Jennifer, all right, we'll do like three more, and then I gotta go. Jennifer says, Sleuth, geofencing said that Richard Allen wasn't there at the time of the murders, didn't it? I don't know if it said Richard Allen wasn't. I think it stated his phone wasn't, but that the killer had a phone that wasn't Richard Allen's. So I think that's where we're hearing a lot of the talk about burner phones. So we got the three individuals that we've identified since 2017 are on the south end of the bridge. So those are the three phones. We know who those folks are. But apparently there was 6 phones total, from my understanding. So you had the 3 folks who were on the bridge. You had Libby's phone, and then potentially 2 burners or 1 burner. But there may be a total of 6 phones that were moving there, 2 unidentified, and 4, 1 belonging to Libby, and 3 belonging to the 3 that were on the bridge. So there may be 2 unidentified phones. Right, before we get out of here. Ooh, looks like we have a new member. Oh, thank you, Metal. Hooked up somebody with a membership. Thank you for that. I'm sure somebody's grateful. Welcome, Dana. Welcome to the Sleuth crew. And a super chat by 411 now. Thank you. Well, if you have to leave, let me say thank you for the stream tonight. You're welcome. You are welcome. All right, let me go to some of these new ones here. So sorry if I skipped you guys. I just want to catch some people before I leave. Let's get Kitty. Good to see you, Kitty. Bra on sports bra. 2 bras don't believe Libby's bra would fit Abby. Abby was wearing her mom's old shirt. Her mom stated that on Dr. Phil. She wore that shirt often. Yeah, the whole clothing stuff is very confusing to me. And I think that's the big part of what Doug Carter was saying. One day we hope to explain this to you. Julia's, is there any actual evidence that JP was at the trails? Yes, 100% he was at the trails. It's proven. It's there. His GPS, his everything puts him at the bridge. Or not the bridge, but the trails. Hold on, guys. Oops. Walk down the street in broad daylight and risk getting caught, which would get everyone caught. Yeah. Unless he got in a fight. I always said that could explain why he lost that bullet. Somebody could have taken his gun away, emptied the chamber, taken out the magazine, and then handed his gun back. It said he looked like he gotten into a fight. Maybe he did get in a fight. Maybe the other perpetrator kicked his ass, but it was most likely Libby. CJK, yep, he did gain some weight. He grew a beard, let his belly hang out. And the one video that we found that he was actually captured on in the pool hall, as soon as he sees that camera pan over to him, he doesn't even hesitate. He turns. So there's a reason why you guys couldn't find him, or that we couldn't find him. He didn't want to be found. Yeah, he confessed. Well, the thing is, a lot of killers confess. We don't want to just say, oh, well, he confessed. He's got to be the guy, or he did this, he did that. Because then you're guilty of what everybody else is doing in reverse, right? So we know that there's false confessions. We know that there's confessions under duress. So that's why I'm being very patient. And I've said it from the beginning. I would like to see those transcripts. So yeah, he may have confessed, he may have done this, he may have done that. Doesn't mean that he's guilty, you know. But it people who I just don't think that they're putting up a great fight for him because I don't think they plan to. This theory was specifically a big block of cheese. They dropped it, they dropped it down in the sewer. They said, "Come and get it." And everybody climbed right over the facts, right over the simple truths, and they rode their ego like a surfboard through the sewer straight towards the cheese like a damn ninja turtle. Exactly. Was basically suicidal after his confessions to his wife and mom. That's why his health went to zero. Yep. And that's why he went to see these professionals. And these professionals are going to be a huge part of this case because he explained his motive to this medical staff. And they're trying to use HIPAA laws to um, prevent them from speaking because of the privilege they have. But when it comes to children, they're all bets are off. All right, this is going to be the last one. Miss Dog Lover with the super chat. He put himself on the bridge wearing the same clothes as BG. And that's why he wins the suspect race. Is his timeline. That's why the defense attacks it. Him being on the bridge and his bullet being found. But a lot of sources are telling me that there's a whole lot more going on. Whole lot more. And that's why the defense doesn't want to go to trial. And they won't, guys. I'm going to predict the future. Watch this. Richard Allen will delay the trial. You heard it here first. I've been saying it for months. I said it the day that they filed for a speedy trial that he will delay. Mark my words. Welcome, Amy. All right, guys. I appreciate it. I want to give a special thanks to Miss Dog Lover, Audrey, Metal, Dana, and 411. You guys rock. Thank you so much for supporting my channel. We're 100% crowdfunded. So everything you guys do means a lot. Keeps me on the air. I can't be a grown ass adult and the head of a household and play around on YouTube without you guys making that possible. So that you are this channel. You're I couldn't do it without you. So thank you. And everybody have a great night. I'm out of here. Peace.